Breaking news, as Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker was announced for UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia. And boys, is this a hard one to call or what? And finally, someone steps up against Chimaev. A title contender elimination fight and a big pile of money makes a huge difference. But this fight is going to be like a coin flip because Robert Whittaker is 2-2 in his last 4 fights, and Khamzat didn't really have a great performance in his last fight against Kamaru Usman. So this fight is going to be really interesting to say the least. But if I had to choose, I think I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker with a slight edge. But it can honestly go either way. So let's break this down. This is going to be a great fight. Whittaker's anti-wrestling should properly indicate how good Khamzat wrestling actually is, and I'm interested to know how Khamzat's cardio will hold up over a 5-round fight. And I gotta say this, to be fair, I kind of feel like Khamzat's hype train has been dead for a while. There was a time before that Gilbert Burns fight where people were talking about this guy like non-stop. Like they were talking about Khamzat as much as Conor McGregor. And boy am I nervous for Khamzat's chances in this fight. If this fight goes past the first, Khamzat is gonna be in big trouble. An undersized welterweight in Gilbert Burns and a weak notice undersized middleweight in Kamaru Usman gave Khamzat a really tough fight, and I actually thought he lost either of those fights. Now he's facing a guy who's comfortable at middleweight, who has good cardio, good takedown defense, and defensive BJJ, and sharp striking. It only gets tougher for Khamzat from here on out, even if he somehow passes Robert Whittaker. And look, even if somehow Khamzat takes Whittaker down and gets a dominant position, it's gonna be extremely hard to submit Robert, dude. Robert Whittaker was able to survive Jacare's grappling, and Yoel had a hard time taking Whittaker down. But you can also argue that Yoel wasn't great in holding down opponents. Yes, he had the wrestling accolades, but he had no control, and Jacare was old by the time he fought Robert Whittaker, and Khamzat on the other hand is young and arguably has better control than those 2 other guys I just mentioned. Also, Robert literally got taken down by a lazy step over by Dricus. It's no secret that middleweights have been lacking elite wrestlers for a long time. That's why you can argue that Robert has good takedown defense. So this fight is really going to answer a lot of questions, especially on how good Robert Whittaker's wrestling defense really is. You know, because we got to remember too, welterweight skills wise are leaps and bounds from the middleweight, so we gotta see how this plays out. Another thing is that Whittaker's chin is quite concerning. I think Khamzat would be a fool to try and play the long game. His sprinting approach makes a lot of sense here in my opinion, and Khamzat will lose if this fight keeps going, but he has a very strong chance of catching Robert in the first round because he goes much harder than anyone in that mode. And if you look back at Robert's career, he's normally getting knocked out in the early rounds. Dricus and Izzy both TKO'd Robert in the second round, so Khamzat's best bet is to try to knock him out or take him down. Robert also gets hit quite a lot, and now there's a lot of footage of him being dominated, so that's quite concerning. And skill for skill, it's easy to say that Robert is better, but the sheer physical demand of this sport are so massive that even a slight decrease in the chin strength can be all it takes to overbalance the difference in skill. But if this fight goes past the first round, then it's easily gonna go to Robert, man. Robert doesn't have knockout power, but he will outclass Khamzat for all 4 rounds and give him an ass whooping. Chimaev's best chance is to either submit Robert early or try to knock out Robert while catching him coming in. If not, this fight is easily going to go to Robert Whittaker. But anyways guys, those are my thoughts on this subject. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Khamzat is going to win over Robert Whittaker? Let me know in the comments down below. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on my next one.